were good Christians, I should have nothing more to desire. Well, time and again he counseled forbearance and forgiveness on the part of his students, friends, family, and people across the South toward mercenary northern carpetbaggers, self-serving southern scalawags, black freedmen, federal occupation forces, and Union Leaguers, and the radical Republicans' corrupt, crushing Reconstruction, some would say deconstruction, in general. Lee wrote, "The gentleman does not needlessly and unnecessarily remind an offender of a wrong he may have committed against him. He can not only forgive, he can forget. And he strives for that nobleness of self and mildness of character which imparts sufficient strength to let the past be but the past. A true man of honor feels humbled himself when he cannot help humbling others." No one ever tabulated how many thousands of letters he received and answered from Southerners seeking his counsel on what to do. Whence the source of such convictions? Lee himself recorded it among those many private journalings evidently no other person even knew existed until they were found in his beaten old leather case after his death. "My whole trust is in God, and I am ready for whatever He may ordain. I prefer the Bible to any other book. There is enough in that to satisfy the most ardent thirst for knowledge, to open the way to true wisdom, and to teach the only road to salvation and eternal happiness. It is not above human comprehension, and it is sufficient to satisfy all its desires." Well, of course, he was not without opposition even until he died, and even since. Many of the radical Republican leaders wanted him hanged for treason. An austere post-war congressional committee grilled him more than once in Washington, seeking evidence with which to prosecute him. They failed at every turn, as the constitutional course of Lee's actions became obvious even to those who despised both him and the Constitution. Abolitionist leader and Liberator newspaper publisher William Lloyd Garrison decried Lee's place at the head of a college. Who is more obdurate than himself? He at the head of a patriotic institution, teaching loyalty to the Constitution and the duty of maintaining that union he has so lately attempted to destroy? Has Lucifer regained his position in heaven? If the South could reasonably hope to succeed in another rebellious uprising and should make the attempt, who can show us any ground for believing that General Lee would not again act as Generalissimo of her forces? But as Lee's peaceable, forbearing example became manifest, as well as the fruits of his leadership at Resurgent Washington College, his legions of admirers grew, even in the North. Now I head down the home stretch now, the last couple of minutes here, talking about his godly example toward the end. The last morning of his own life, Abraham Lincoln was given by his soldier son Robert a photograph of Lee. "It is a good face," Lincoln is supposed to have said. "It is the face of a noble, brave man. I am glad that the war is over." And indeed, accounts of Lee's charity and kindness after the war are legion. 2 months after Appomattox, a black man strolled boldly forward to take communion with the white members of St. Paul's Church in Richmond. Always before, the black parishioners took communion after the whites. The entire assembly sat in stunned silence. Then Lee stood from his pew, walked alone to the communion rail, and knelt within feet of the black man. A singular demonstration for its place and time of the Christian principle of neither Jew nor Greek, neither male nor female, bond or free. His action led the rest of the congregation to move forward and receive their own communion with their black brother. When the aforementioned Pastor J. William Jones, Lee's wartime chaplain, saw the older man giving money to a stranger in Lexington years after the war, Pastor Jones asked Lee who it was. "One of our old soldiers," asked Lee. Jones asked which Confederate command the man served under. "Oh," Lee replied, "he was one of those who fought against us. But we are all one now and must make no difference in our treatment of them." I keep getting convicted with these forgive and forget statements. How about you? He established a ritual in Lexington wherein every year at Christmas time he would ride through the town handing down presents to the often impoverished children, black and white, from a large bag. By the time of his death, most Southerners had followed his example, remained in their homeland, pursued peaceable ways, and put their hand to the plow of rebuilding their country. See if these words from Mary Lee that she wrote to a close friend the day that her husband died, see if they echo the words that she read that he wrote to her about Annie years before. Again, the influence of a godly husband on his wife. The day that Robert E. Lee died, Mary Lee wrote, I have never so truly felt the purity of his character as now, when I have nothing left me but its memory. God knows the best time for us to leave this world, and we must never question either His love or wisdom. This is my comfort in my great sorrow, to know that had my husband lived 1,000 years, he could not have died more honored and lamented, even had he accomplished all we desired and hoped. He is an epistle written of God, Edward Gordon wrote, who was Lee's former assistant at Washington College. And he was designed by God to teach the people of this country that earthly success is not the criterion of merit, nor the measure of true greatness. And don't we in this room need to hear that admonition today as we struggle along, scraping finances together, often seemingly losing battles in the causes dear to us within and without the Christian community, as the wicked and the powerful so often seem to prosper, at least for a season. Well, in closing, I will mention that after all the suffering, all the disappointment, all the loss and death and heartbreak, Lee left words near the end of his life that should offer great encouragement to us. Many of us who believe the world is spiraling downward from now until some supposed cataclysmic destruction, Lee left us words of hope after all of his own suffering when he wrote in that supposedly anonymous little journal, "The march of Providence is so slow and our desires so impatient. The work of progress so immense and our means of aiding it so feeble. The life of humanity is so long, that of the individual so brief, that we often see only the ebb of the advancing wave and are thus discouraged. But just as the dominant party cannot reign forever, and truth and justice will at last prevail, in a larger way, it is history that teaches us to hope." History, I tell my students, his story. Thank you, and God bless you.